Hey, welcome back to another episode of Say You Look Tired. Few ones in, ones into the school year. I'm Martin.
I'm starving. No, I'm Dan. And I'm not. I'm Dan. We've just been having a bit of a funny chat. That's why I'm a bit, what's the word? Giddy.
Yeah, do you know what though? It all come from I was telling you about, I don't know what it's called on Threads. It was on Threads. You still say it's a tweet. Do you even say Twitter's
I'm
a tweet
not
now?
on Threads.
Oh,
I don't get it. What is it? Like Twitter? But I mean,
it's like Twitter, but it's like Twitter, but not as good.
Okay.
I would say.
Mm-hmm.
It's meant to be because Musk made Twitter a bit more toxic.
Mm-hmm.
Instagram and Facebook, they made their own version, which is meant to be like a safer space.
Okay.
From what I can see, it's like the only people who are using it is for like marketing.
Okay.
And there isn't there isn't much going on there. I don't think it's got much going on, but I'll check it now and again.
But you got good something for it.
I got something good on it. It's from an account called Teacher Head Chat, where they post like messages that like heads, teachers, everyone will message. And this is an anonymous post which says, "This September, I'll be stepping into the role of assistant head. As a second year ECT, it's a big leap, and I'm feeling both excited and a little bit nervous." And then it goes on to ask, like, is there any advice on that? But that's the bit which really stuck to me. Like, there's about
GCSE exam, draw out the key facts, second year teaching, assistant head role.
There's a lot of comments on the post. There's no advice to her about how to deal with being assistant head. More just a lot of people saying, you need to leave that school now because it's toxic. And I do agree, even without knowing anything else. If you might be the greatest teacher that's ever lived, and you might be destined to be the greatest head teacher that there's ever been, and you're going to change everything, you should still not be getting an assistant head post. She's a second year ECT, so she's getting an assistant head post before she's technically fully qualified as a teacher.
How does that even happen?
Because a school's toxic. The only people that want such underqualified assistant heads are the ones who are making people do work that they shouldn't be doing, and they're pushing them to the max. Because let's be honest, when we were NQTs and now it's called ECTs, you are so eager to please. I imagine lots of teachers who are listening to this, if you're like 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, however long into the game, you look back at them first couple of years and think, I got taken such advantage of because I know teachers say yes to everything, but us as NQTs and ECTs say yes to everything. They go above and beyond, and they want someone in that role to be a dog's body. And if this person, boy or girl, whoever it is listening to this, which they might be, I would say, just put your resignation in. Like, can you think, like, I do think new teachers get taken off advantage so much. I think it stems from uni and then it grows through. But like, I think your one especially.
Yeah,
like,
so I was an NQT, which we only got 1 year being NQT, and then it was NQT plus 1, wasn't it?
Well, the ECT's 2-year one, which I always think's funny. Like, they looked at, before we get anything else, this, I think, sums up government's understanding of teaching. And it is that idea of, right, teaching's really stressful. Yes. You've got a degree and then you've got to do a year to prove it. Yeah. And there's lots of paperwork in it. Yeah. Okay, we're going to make it less stressful. How? We're going to make it 2 years of that stressful paperwork before you qualified.
We still don't believe you, even though you finished university. That's not good enough. We need more blood. We need more. And like we were saying there, for me, on my second year of teaching, I still am. I love to make people proud, but more so myself. I was asked, Dan, you wouldn't mind being EYFS lead, would you? Our lead's going off of maternity. I was like, absolutely, 100%. Because I thought I was also going to get the money. Because back in our days when we first started, there was nothing what you start on now. and I needed to buy some food. So that wasn't pasta and mayo. And I said yes. And oh my goodness, I remember this folder being brought into me. Okay, we need this updating. You're quite, because I still am, well, I'm like quite creative. We need this change and that change and this change. And I was like, oh my goodness me. And I thought at the time, I can do this.
But what's mad with that, just without anything else, let's be honest, you've been teaching for a year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care what anyone says after a year, you do not know the curriculum. So how can you change it?
I didn't even know what day it was. I was like, and I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I barely know. Well, I do. I know what I'm doing to get through my own classroom, but then I had staff to look after. As in to delegate stuff to and like make sure they're all right.
We already know, like, you struggled with.
I struggled with, and I was 25 at the time, and maybe 26. And I remember, this will make you laugh. This is so early years. I remember thinking, they came to me in October, Dan, you've not picked what school nativity you're doing yet. I went, what? Just do the Jesus one. I was like, no, you need to buy in a script, and it's got all these songs. And I was like, yeah, the nativity. No, you need to go and order one. So then I was like, and who's going to help me put it all together? Oh, you're the EYFS lead. That's your job. So you need to coordinate the entire thing. And you think me would be I'm quite theatrical. I didn't know how to do that. I was sweating. Yeah. And then I got told that I had an assembly I had to lead every week. And
why? Because you were
EYFS lead. And we all had to do one. All the SLT had to do one. And I remember standing at the front of the hall and you had everyone in there. Whereas at this point, I'd only had early years and like year 1 or 2. Whereas year 6 were at the back on the bench. They didn't care about me. I wasn't cool to them.
And you weren't getting any extra money.
I wasn't. No, and I was. I remember all this. I remember no extra money. Everyone disappeared off because that was their chance to go for a cup of coffee and a toilet break. And everyone left. It was like me and one of the teaching assistants in the hall, and I couldn't get Key Stage 2 to be quiet. When I was still learning my behaviour management at the time.
What's SLT? I'm gonna go off. I remember going for an assistant head interview when I was about 8 or 9 years in. And I think at the time, the maximum pay for a teacher on M6 was 35 or 36 grand. Well, I'm going to say that was that. And I remember it was only 1 grand more to be on the bottom rung of like SLT. So it was like 36 or 37 grand. And you were being probably on 22 grand doing the full job.
And I was like, but like in my head, I told myself that this is fine. And
because you'll get it eventually.
I'll understand it eventually. And those days, there was no chat GPT. You had teletext. No, you didn't.
There would have been, no, do you know what there would have been? The one which I think it's only just a slight niche of all like our age that would have used it. Was it called Primary Resources? Oh, and it was like, it had a yellow border around and it had the clock as the logo, that clock face, and it had all the little like things you click and download stuff.
I remember discovering on there, sidetrack, as per usual, that you could put all the children's names on a like a wheel. And I remember thinking that this was amazing. It randomly generated this thing and it was going to be amazing. But yeah, like do you know what? When it came to classroom stuff, absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I'm actually quite good at planning and understanding. I understood the earliest curriculum, fine. But for me, it was knowing how to speak to staff.
Yeah,
I didn't know how to do that, and to do it in a way that where I could manage my own stress. Because when I got stressed out back then, I was still learning how to speak in a way that's still supportive and not like fiery. Because I was so young. I still think that I was so young, and
it was.
And supporting people that need help. Like the other teacher needed support with their behavior management. So come to me.
But that must have been tough because I imagine if you're a second year like teacher, I imagine you're the least experienced teacher in the school, probably.
There was 2 of us.
Yeah, but what I mean is like you're having to support people who have done a lot more. Like. And that's the same with like this one who's going for the assistant head job there. She's got an assistant head. How, as an ECT, can you go into someone who's been teaching like 6-7 years and go, this is what I think you should do?
Yeah.
And actually like have them listen. Because even if you do know everything about teaching and you've done it, you know, I don't think after 1 year you've got the experience to say, this is what you should. You still should be in that learning phase. And that's not having a go saying ECTs are terrible teachers. They're not. They'll be really great ones. But you always are better after a couple of years.
I remember sitting in an SLT meeting and they were talking about something that they called the SDP. And I was like, They were going, so Dan, what do you think? Did you get a chance to look at the SDP? And I was like, SDP?
I still don't know what it is.
School development plan.
Oh,
so there's a school development plan.
I've never heard it called that. I wasn't involved in them meetings, obviously.
If I said SEF, what's that? School evaluation form. So there's SDP, the SE, the SEF. And I sat there thinking, I'm just going to pretend that I know everything that I'm talking about. And I was rumbled. And I was like, but then that's also, in a way, I did learn how to ask questions then.
Yeah.
So I thought, you're backing me against a wall here. And I'm actually quite a good teacher. Yeah. But I need to learn how to be a leader.
Yeah.
It's different leading your own classroom compared to leading a year group or a school.
Yeah.
And know how to delegate, like we were talking about in the last one. But it's also having those difficult conversations when maybe someone's not necessarily doing the job that they're supposed to do. And if you're a lot younger than them, I find it hard. Even recently, like the last 5 years when I was a leader, EYFS leader. I was basically EYFS leader the entire time I've been a teacher.
Which is mad,
Isn't
really.
that crazy?
And what's funny is obviously, like now you go into schools, you chat, you talk, you do things. So you're obviously doing it right. But really, if you've always been it, I'm not saying like you might have been doing a terrible job, but like you could have been doing things. You haven't you haven't been shown anything. You haven't been developed on certain things. It's just literally been go do your own thing. And it's just pot luck that like it has worked out. And I don't mean that from like pot luck as like, oh, it's like it's pot luck that it's worked out because you've just been gone, okay, sink or swim. Let's see how it goes. Yeah.
I'm actually, now when I think about it, I'm actually quite proud of it. But it's all the other things that come with being given a big role like that. Or as a new teacher, I remember, and this is silly, being sent to the photocopier by the other teachers. Like, Dan, I'm delegating this task for you. Can you make us booklets, double-sided, staple in the right-hand corner? Top left-hand corner, whatever. And
when was this? What was this?
Years ago. It's like, so I was given a task as an NQT.
Oh, right.
By my mentor. And I wanted
to have photocopying.
I know. Now that you say it. And I wanted to impress because I quite liked her. Yeah. And I remember going to this photocopy and going, right, double-sided booklets. And you open the menu and you're like, what is this Sanskrit? Yeah. And I completely messed up. And I'm telling you now, there was reams and reams of paper coming out. I didn't know how to stop it. And it was such a waste. And I didn't know it was supposed to be in black and white, not color. Absolutely hideous. And I couldn't get it to staple or anything. But like that, no, I didn't want to ask to be shown. And you were just given this task and off you go.
And that's the thing, isn't it? Like I think when it comes to your NQT year, well, ECT years now, it's all pot luck. Like I was saying to you, the first school I was in, we've talked about before, it was toxic. It was a nightmare. The deputy head was my mentor and randomly come past my room and was like, after school today, we're going to have a NQT meeting. So bring your folder. And I said, oh, I haven't got my folder. It's at home. I was doing work on it. She said, folder should be on you at all times. And I was like, oh, right. And she was like, this is a verbal warning. If it ever happens again, it will be a written warning. It will go on your file that you aren't prepared. And I was like, oh my God. Like, I had it on me at all times, everything like
Did
that.
You strap it to your back after
Near enough. Like, well, I only lasted 3 weeks before I quit there. So
okay. Please tell me you sent the folder in.
But the next school I was in, my NQT mentor was the teacher who was in the year above me. So I was year 3, she was year 4. Oh, sorry, she was so she was year 3, I was year 4. And she said, I said to her one time, we got the first meeting coming up this Friday. What do you want me to do with the folder? Do you want to bring it in? Do you want me to look at it? Like, do you want to look at it? Do you want to do this? And she just looked at me and went, Martin, the only person who will ever see that folder is me. And I don't think you need to do it. And I went, what are you saying? She went, don't do one. We'll just talk about stuff.
As you slowly put the whole puncher down and then you pack it of dividers.
I was like, oh, okay. And I never did. In my NQT year, I didn't have to do a folder. You know, we put evidence together, we did it, but I didn't need this like perfectly thing, and it took so much stress off me. The first one I was in, if I was to stay there for the year, on the spot folder checks of whether I was doing it right for something which I later found out with the next one, like when I went to do it probably, like she wasn't doing, no one was going to come and check it. It was just for her benefits. It was a power trip. Mm-hmm. She just wanted to come in and be like, let's see your folder now.
Like, as you're teaching something, you've got a accounting stick
like,
in your hand. 5,
10,
15.
Hiding in the cupboards, jumping out. Now.
Folder.
And it comes down to that. Look, you could have an ECT mentor who is either just got a bit of a chip on the shoulder or who likes a power trip, who does that and will make your life live in hell. Or you could have one who's really relaxed and is just like, listen, I think this is all nonsense. Let's give you the stuff that you actually need. You can also get ones who just don't want to do it whatsoever. Yeah. And it can be an absolute nightmare for you. Mm-hmm. And to me, that's too much potluck. And then the fact that like you have schools that are taking advantage, to me, there should be a thing of like, if someone is being hired as an ECT in this second year to be the assistant head, there should be someone from the local council that goes into that school and like puts the head through checks and goes, what is going on here? The same way the first school I was in, the head was in for a year. It was a 1-form entry school and all 7 teachers quit that year. I went in with a brand new set of 7 teachers. There was only him and the deputy which were there.
Oh my goodness me.
Throughout the course of that year, I think at least I was the first one to go, so I don't know exact numbers, but I know at least 4 others who left that year. Do you know what I mean? There was in 2 years, 12 teachers at least out of 14 quit within a year of working under him. So to me, that would be like, oh, if I'm in charge of the council for it, I would be like, we need to check that school. No, he got given a second school because the way he runs things is so good, because he was very good at bluffing.
He's running the teachers down.
Yeah.
He's so good at it.
He sat us down. I remember the first mistake. I knew I'd made a mistake in the first meeting, because it was an inset day just for the teachers. Sitting there, first time I met the other two, like, hi, hey, you all right? He gets up at the front and he goes, right, I think TAs get paid too much. That was his opening line for how the year was going to go. He goes, I think TAs get paid too much. And I was sitting there thinking, what? Like, we're not talking about the curriculum or how the year's going. His opening thing was, I think TAs get paid too much. Some of them, because they've got a good union here, which this was his words. I agree with any of it. Because they've got a good union here, they get pay increase after pay increase after pay increase. And some of them will earn more than you as NQTs. And I think that's wrong. And if it was up to me, I'd get rid of them all. And I was sitting there thinking, what? Like, what's going on? And then he said, it's all of us. This is in the basement. It's all of us versus them.
Oh my goodness me.
And
it's the Hunger Games.
And I realized after I'd left later on, I realized like, oh, the TAs, like, so all the teachers were all, it was the same as the TAs, it's their job. But with the TAs, it would have been a lot harder for them to quit, because quite a lot of them, the kids were at the school. And it was, they were integrated in the community a lot more, TAs, I would say. When you so it's going to be a lot harder to push them out. So they knew what the school was like before he come. And he didn't like that. I think he wanted them gone because they knew what it was like before he took over and how horrible it was now. And he really had a vendetta against them, to the point of, don't know whether I've told this before, but he said, you have to have, don't you, a teacher governor and a support staff governor. And he wanted his school secretary to be the non-support staff, but all the support staff have to vote. And they all got together, and one of them, they said, if she gets in, we'll have no backing. It'll be a living hell. We have no access to governors or anything. So one of them said, I'll do it. I'll run against her.
You?
No,
Oh, sorry.
one of the TAs said,
sorry.
yeah, I was an ECT.
I didn't mean to go, you.
No, but one of the TAs said, she said, I'll run against her. But you, like, we all have to agree that every single one of you vote for me. Because if I,
Oh my goodness.
because this is how bad it was. She said, if I go up against her and it crumbles, it might sound like Game of Thrones and stuff like that. They were having a meeting. She said, if I go against her and it crumbles and like it all falls apart, he will basically bully me out of school then. So I have to get in because he can't bully me if I'm one of the governors because I'll be able to tell all the governors what he's doing. And so they all did it and they all voted. And they all voted. She won by a landslide. She won like every vote. And he had a full school meeting to say he was thinking about it. And it doesn't work with anonymous votes because he doesn't know who could have tampered with it. So he wants all the TAs one by one to come to his office and tell him verbally who they're voting for.
This is shocking.
How bad's that? And this is, bear in mind, I was only there 3 weeks. And like, I have more stories about nightmare stuff from the 3 weeks than I do for the 10 years I worked in the next school. But yeah, and they all stuck to it and they all went in and they told him. But at the time, I'll be honest, I was an ECT, an NQT, and I was just like, basically just like, la, 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 like, realize, like, I was going, oh my God, my life's hell right now. But I didn't realize that wasn't ordinary. Like, that wasn't weird behavior till I went to a new school and was like, oh, the head likes the TAs here. like he doesn't think that they're more. Yeah, he thought TAs were mortal enemies. Like he wanted them all out the school. He said they were a waste of money, and like try to drive them out as best as he could. But I later like reflected on it. Was like I thought it was weird at the time, but later on I'm like, oh, they were like the last ones who knew what it was like, and I don't think he liked that.
Did they, when you started the school, did like one of the TAs drag you into the cupboard and be like, right, you need to hear this. This is how it is. You need to follow these rules to survive.
Well, so all the new teachers went in for like a day to meet the teacher, but I couldn't go in. I was away. So I went in on a different day. And it sounded like when all the other teachers went in, none of the other teachers were like the current teachers. They had a full, rather than have a meet the teacher afternoon, they had a meet the teacher day. All the teachers who were at the school at the time got the day off.
Of course they did.
So they got, but when I went in, obviously they all had to be there. And one of the teachers, I was just in the classroom with the teacher whose class it was who was leaving. And one of the other teachers come in and like said to her, he was like, oh, who's this? And she said, oh, it's Martin. He's going to be taking over year 2 next year. And it always makes me laugh looking back now because he said, oh, you've got to tell him. And she went, no.
They said that loud enough for you to hear. Someone has to tell him.
No. He pointed at me. It was like,
him.
He went, you've got to tell him. And she went, no. She's going, no, don't say a word. It's his first teaching job. It's not up to us to put like bad thoughts into his mind to start it. And I was standing there going, what?
What have you walked into?
And then after 3 weeks was like, oh. What? It was the maddest thing. I think there should be more stringent things for new teachers because like that hell I walked into was mad. And I know it can happen to all teachers. And there's some teachers which, as we get to M6, kind of get bullied out of schools so that they don't have to pay you and they can get an ECT in, which is mad.
Yeah.
But ECTs get taken advantage of. ECTs don't get taught the right things at uni. It's great knowing how to do this essay on the like theory behind behavior.
Or how to double mount a display.
What they should be teaching is like, these are your rights. These are the things that should be happening. These are the things that shouldn't. 3 weeks, quite often this head would wander into your classroom. You had to have all your planning up on the wall. So you had to have all your planning up on the wall in like laminate folders. So you'd have to have a thing with history, English, maths. You'd have to have it all there for the week, right? And your timetable. And he would stroll into your lesson, not say a word to you. He would stroll into your lesson. He would go on your timetable and go, like, you know, Thursday afternoon science. He would check his phone to see what week of the school year we were on. He would take the planning out. He would go to it, find that day's planning. So if it was science, lesson 3, and then he would look at his watch to see what time it was and what you should be doing at that point in the plan. And if you weren't at it, he would stop the lesson. And he would
States
ask you,
of matter, is it?
he'd be like, excuse me, Mr. Malone. Excuse me, Mr. Malone. And you'd be like, yeah. He'd be like, I just check. On the planning here, it says that they should be doing their activities now, but you're still on the carpet. And I'd be like, oh yeah, we're just going into a little bit more detail. They didn't quite get some things. Okay. After this lesson, can you come and see me in my office, please?
Oh no, I hate that.
And you'd be like, what? And then you'd go to his office, and a few times go to the office. He would then call the deputy head, who in a 1-4 entry school, they had a head, a fully out of class deputy head, a fully out of class Senko, and an assistant head.
What do they all do?
I don't know. Bully people.
That's
what they did.
Bully Martin.
So then he would ring the deputy head. The deputy head would come down.
Were you there when he rang this person?
Yeah, so I'd come in.
Martin's in here. Come down now.
He'd be like, I'll sit down there. So I'd sit down on a chair, which was always smaller than his chair.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm sitting on this chair. He would ring the deputy head. The deputy head would come down, shut the door behind her, and then stand over you while
this
they
is making me sweat.
While they both like dressed you down. And I'd be like, oh, they just didn't get it. And they go, okay, so you're saying your teaching isn't up to standard where they don't understand what you're saying? And I'd be like, no, just like, have you never had a lesson where you kind of just need a bit of, no. But you know, have you? I haven't. And you'd be like, oh, maybe we need to look at this. If we bear in mind, this was about a week and a half in, and they had said, we need to actually look maybe at your teaching a little bit more because we're not sure whether you'll be able to pass your NQT year if the standard continues.
And I would have been ill. I'd have been physically ill in that room.
What? And you're like, yeah, we don't think you can. Because 5 minutes extra, they were on the carpet.
I hate that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that wasn't even a lesson observation. That was just he decided to stroll into my room to see where I was at.
Do you know, that's almost as bad as where they would say, for example, phonics. And they said, we should be able to go between both rooms and you're both at the exact same thing at the exact same time. And I remember my friend, Sarah saying to me, Dan, you must make sure that you don't go too quick.
Yeah.
Because I was like, pace, let's get done. And I remember thinking,
who would be at fault? Who'd be at fault there? Do you reckon you for going too quick or him being too slow?
No, but I just was like, but we managed to pull it off. But I remember seeing said person who came, for all I know, they were wearing trainers that day. They'd run back and forth to check, because in phonics, you've got a set script thing that you have to say. Oh, yeah, they're on segment and blend on it. Yeah, And it's crazy because like a child could cry.
Yeah.
A bee could come into the room, bzzz, and then that is it. Lesson is sort of gone for like a couple of minutes as you shoo it out. And things happen. And, you might be like a couple of minutes behind. Who
do you reckon again that comes from like, I don't know many early years teachers who become heads.
Mine was.
No, but just in general.
Yeah, in general, yeah.
Do you reckon that comes from that like, policies get decided by people
who don't understand early years.
You don't understand early years. Because how many times, I remember the amount of times I was in a meeting where they just turn to our early years and say, this doesn't concern you, but stay.
So many meetings I sat in where I was like, get me out. I was like doodling on a piece of paper to make it look like I'm right. Oh yeah.
But I think it's all teaching is a mess, but I think ECTs need to be protected more. And I think they need to be taught how to protect themselves because they're not.
No,
Like,
they're not.
uni's advice, it might be different now, but my uni's advice was be the first in, be the last out, say yes to everything.
That was mine.
And then you wonder why teachers have trouble with boundaries.
Yeah.
You are praised if you were the first in. You were praised if you were the last out. You were praised if you did everything.
Volunteered for like run clubs that, turn up at every fair, every after school event, book club, which I hated going to book club. As in whenever they wheel in the trolleys and all the books are there and a child wants it, but their parents like, no, because it costs £17. And then, these are the days of change. People brought in money. Like, I'm sure these days have got the tap. Whereas I was like, what did you give me, a £20 note? And I'm exhausted from the end of the day. Oh, I give you 50. Did you?
What would be your advice for ECTs then? Like, how would you say to protect yourself and what to watch out?
Before you even go into the school, Google it, which is something I should have done for one of the schools I worked in. Also, walk around, see, get a feel for it. But when you are in, have, like we were talking about in our other podcast episode, you have to plan out your week.
Yeah.
You cannot say yes to everything. If you start saying, which is what I did, if you start saying yes to everything, it's going to be harder to get yourself out of that because that's always going to be expected of you then.
Yeah.
And be strong and learn to say, I can't take any more.
Yeah.
Because if you start that as your career, you will burn yourself out and you'll lose the love for it. And remember why you got into it. It's to teach the children and be there and have a good time, because primary school teaching can be good.
Yeah. I think that's it. I think it's that. Like, I would say to everyone, and obviously you can't do it if you've already got a job, but I say to everyone, like, those 3 weeks were like hell. But actually, the making of me as a teacher was after them when I did supply. Where it was going in schools, it was seeing the environments I wanted to be in, seeing the environments I didn't want to be in. I think it should be mandatory. I think that's what an ECT year should be. It should be the way you have to work for the government. I know this is me talking, but you have to work for the government as a supply teacher and you go into all different schools, because some people love being in 4 form entries or 2 form entries. Some people love 1 form. Like, I can see the benefits of both. I know that if I was to work in a 4 form entry school, because I've done supply in them, you basically don't plan that, like, because someone will take maths, someone will take English, but as well, because it's got to be planned for 4 people. It's really thought out and done well.
Yeah.
So then the next year, it just takes the next year, if you're on the maths plan, that's it. Just needs a little bit of tweaking. So there's no planning, really. Yeah. If you're in a 1 form entry, you have to do all the planning. I did all the planning, but I got a lot more freedom. So if sometimes I'd be like, this day's going a bit wild, we're meant to do maths this afternoon, let's do art. Do you know, let's do that. We'll catch up on that, where you couldn't in a 4 form entry. You have to all be together at the same time. And it's finding what you like. It's being in the right environment. It's learning how to say yes and no to the right things. And it's just that I think there should be so many more things in charge which protect. They don't. And it should be those warning signs. Like, if you are being criticized too much, like I was, that's a problem. Or if you're being bigged up too much. So I'd actually say I was in that first school, like, basically bullied. But it's weird to say I was bullied, because I think I was bullied, but I also wasn't, because they did it to everyone.
Yeah. That was just how the school was.
Yeah. So is that bullying? I don't know. It wasn't like, let's pick on Martin. It was like, I've got a power trip problem. Yeah. Like, I was just the first one to fall. But I'd say on yours, I'd say you were the opposite. Like, you were probably praised up to a point that you shouldn't have been. Like, no matter how brilliant you've been now, you should not have been on SLT as you finish your NQT.
No. And like, I did get a bit of criticism, well, constructive. But then at one point when I was on the way with it, I felt like not untouchable, I felt like the best teacher in the whole world, and it took over everything, because then I was doing everything.
And it's funny, it goes both ways, doesn't it? So I remember for those 3 weeks, I was working non-stop, because it was almost that, like, I've got to try and fix this. I've got to try and fix it. And you were the other way. You were working nonstop because you didn't want to lose that like progression that was coming.
Yeah. I was like, oh, I've got this now. I've got to hold on to it.
You've been given something and you wanted to show that you could do it.
Yeah.
Where mine was like, oh my God, like this pressure, I need to get rid of this pressure.
Yeah, because I knew how to prove myself.
Yeah.
And then when I started being told that I was good at some things, I was like, oh my gosh, this is going to be great.
Yeah.
I'm going to have this job. I'm going to be a leader. And then I was like, oh my goodness, I've got so much to do. I don't know when I'm going to do it, which then meant that my boundaries dropped.
Yeah.
I was working all the time, didn't do any sort of real cooking. And then the wheels all fell off.
I've just had a flashback then, which I completely forgot about. Because I remember when we do this podcast, I remember more and more about them 3 weeks. It was mad. It was
Seems like a long 3 weeks.
Honestly, God, it was the most crazy time ever.
15 days.
Right. But also it shows kind of how mad it was, all the stuff that was going on. So in that time, he'd come in a few times to do that. We had a formal lesson observation off him. We also had, which I've only just remembered, we had as well as that, in 3 weeks this is, we also had a Mockstead where he brought someone in to do the Mockstead. and she pulled me to one side and advised me, I think you should leave this school.
Why? Because of how the school was.
Because she was like, she basically said to me, like, I can see how much pressure is building on you, and I think you should leave. And I only remember because she, a year later, come in not to do a Mockstead at the school I was in where I stayed for ages, but she knew the head and she'd come in to help her with some of the planning stuff. And she just went round on a learning walk and she recognised me. And she went at that day after school, the head come down and she was like, do you remember that lady? Do you remember that woman, that lady? And I was like, yeah, she did at the last school I was in. She said, she come into my office and said, I'm really glad he's at this school.
Oh, that's good. Good for her.
But I just remembered her going like, she had to have like, she asked for a meeting to ask me about questions. And while she was doing it, she just said, are you happy at the school? And I was like, what? And she was like, if you're not happy, I'm not saying you should quit teaching, but I think you should probably leave the school. And I was like, oh, okay.
I'm glad you did. Look, that would have been awful.
Yeah. But it just really made me laugh all of it. Like 3 weeks, all that happened. There was so much that happened. It made
me feel queasy when you were brought into the room. You were telling me about that. I was like, oh my goodness, because I've had that myself.
Later on, so I'd left, but the councils have someone who looks after the ECTs. Well, now the ECTs, was NQTs, looked after the NQTs. And I think their job is just, to make sure the folders are done and do the ticking of it and stuff like that. Plan out, the courses you can go on, everything like that. There was so many NQTs in the school that I was in that he used to come for monthly visits just because there was that many.
Yeah, many to work through. Oh my goodness.
And I got told by another one of the teachers who stayed there, he did the full year and then he got a new job and left. I got told a few things. So phase one I got told was, the head and deputy made a rule halfway through the year that they were never allowed to be in the room with the NQT fellow that would come by themselves. They had to have one of them there at all times because they were terrified of what they'd say to him. So he was never allowed in the room without one of them. He used to come for like an afternoon now and again and he'd sit in the staff room. And when he did that, the deputy would work from the staff room.
Of course.
The other one was, he said, which is mad, getting a new job. He got away with it, which is mad. So it worked out because it was a different council. He went, it was like Halton Council. It's funny where I've done all my teaching. One from Liverpool, like one of the other fellas from Liverpool as well. And the half terms didn't line up. So during his half term, he applied for a new job and he got it and he handed it in. But 2 of the teachers had said to the head, can I have an afternoon off? There's a job I want which is closer to home. And he told them both no. He said, no.
You're not allowed to do that.
He said, no, you're not allowed to go. So they both phoned in sick. And then they got the jobs and they handed in the notices. And apparently, like, he flew into the staff room at lunchtime and was like screaming at them, like calling them traitors, calling them dishonest, saying he was going to write them like terrible references.
This person sounds unhinged.
He was madly unhinged.
Oh my goodness me. I'd rather be dragged back in a car.
Well, it was mental with it, like the entire thing. But it's mad. He's still in charge of this school now. He's got another school he's in charge of. Like, it's mad that like people are allowed in that power who are just on a power trip. And I'm pretty sure he was fast tracked up. I don't think he did much
I thought you were going to
teaching.
say one teacher of the year.
Nah, probably did.
A Pride of Britain award.
But to me, NQTs, teachers aren't protected enough anyway, but NQTs especially. Like, I know if I went back to the classroom now, I'm not saying I wouldn't try. I'm not saying I'd be like a nightmare.
Yeah.
But you would not be able to get me to do pointless stuff.
Yeah.
Do you know? And I would be able to say, no, this. I think unions need to do more. We keep trying to get them on. None of them come on.
If you want to, you know where we are.
But I think it'd be great because I don't think teachers know the power. I especially don't think ECTs know. And it's just about putting those boundaries in place. As you said, doing that, saying no, talking as much as possible, get on social media as much as possible to listen to things and look for the alarm bells. Like, you cannot have got a teaching degree if you're not good at teaching.
No,
do you know what I mean?
Not. Yeah.
You, which actually this first head wrote on my reference that I had to get from him for supply. Martin could be a good teacher if he was given the right experience and support. With lots of experience and support. And the fella doing the supply called him CUNT in the thing because he said, that tells me everything about this man. He has said that an NQT would be a good teacher if he had support
from the school that he just came from.
But I think it's that thing of like, if you're not getting enough support and help, if you're being asked to do things, or on the other side, you're being bigged up more and more. There was don't get me wrong, they obviously saw potential in you and thought, you can run it.
You can do this.
But they also looked at it and went,
oh, he loves this.
No. That'll save us 16 grand.
Oh, yes, that's true. Yeah, we don't have to pay him for that.
Do you know what I mean? And it's that thing with it all of like, put those boundaries in, talk, ring up unions, chat to them, talk to them. And that's the big one. I'd have like, every teacher's got a nightmare story. And it shouldn't be that way.
No.
It shouldn't be that way, that every teacher's got horror stories of schools they've been in.
Yeah.
Governments and councils need to do more. They need to stop these things. I'm fed up of seeing the likes of Jamie Oliver, Joe Wicks. What's the other one who's going on the dancing soon? The fellow who says Bosch, Tommy Skinner, is it?
I'm awful at remembering these people's names.
He said he's had meetings with the education secretary and that, talking about placements and stuff like that, and trades and people not learning trades. What's he got to do with it? What's he got to do with it?
Nothing.
What's Jamie Oliver got to do with dyslexic children? He's dyslexic. So am I. I'd probably am a tiny bit more qualified than him to talk about it, but neither of us are qualified to be the person that the government talk to about it. Joe Wicks is a fitness person. He's an online coach, does what I do. When they were calling him the nation's PE teacher, that was an absolute disgrace to every teacher that was out there actually doing the job. The fact that now they've linked up with him to make these like movement things. Like, I always think I have to be careful with it because it can look a bit like, oh, he's just jealous because he's a more successful. He's a multimillionaire doing fitness, doing online coaching like I do. Wish I was. I'm not. But the Department of Education should be getting in qualified professionals who know about children's movement and do everything. Not a fella that thinks sugar's an addiction.
Yep, like what you said before.
You know, they shouldn't be talking to Jamie Oliver about the SEN structure. They shouldn't be talking.
There's so many qualified people out there who are doing the job day.
Shouldn't be talking to a fella who is only famous for going on The Apprentice and the fact he eats a roast dinner for his breakfast sometimes about apprentices. They should be getting in proper people. Yeah, I have seen there's a lot of like teachers and doctors, everything that they're talking to, but they should be getting the proper people in. They should be getting the proper people in. And they should do it properly. And they should be protecting teachers, not doing sound bites of like, we've spoke to Jamie Oliver because he was dyslexic.
And protecting ECT. I keep calling them NQTs. ECTs. Or they'll leave.
Yeah, they'll leave.
Leave.
There's a recruitment crisis. There's a retention crisis. It's all because it's set up wrong. And rather than fixing it, they're trying to get sound bites and they're doing pointless tasks. What's the point? Like you can get... Isn't there a teaching bursary and it's tax-free if you're doing a PGCE and you earn more from it than you do the first year of teaching?
I remember that.
What? Why? Why does it? I'm not saying don't give them the bursary. I'm saying, don't you think
it's to get you in, isn't it?
Don't you think that's it? We won't solve it. We'll just give you some money at the start.
Here you go.
Do you have to stay once you've done it? Not really. Oh, okay. Are you going to fix all the problems? No. Okay, what's one of the biggest problems? Probably all the pointless paperwork. Right, we're going to give you 2 years of it at the beginning, which is absolute hell.
Get that folder ready.
Then, when you're in it, all the problems with Ofsted, are you going to fix them? No, we'll just change it from a word to a colour. You know, fix actual problems, talk to proper teachers, actually make a change.
Yeah.
Rather than doing these sound bites. I know the Department of Education is doing all these like, hey, look at this and collabing with this and collabing with that. Funny enough, it wasn't for Department of Education. There was one for the department, I think it was like work and social work and stuff like that. And it was an advert for the Fantastic Four.
I don't think I've seen that one.
They were linking loads of it with like new movies. No, this was on the train.
Oh, okay.
Like a poster. And it was... It had Mr. Fantastic on it, the stretchy one. His arm was stretched out, and it said, "Reach for the job that you want." And I thought, why spend the money on that? They advertise on podcasts to get teachers on. You know, hey, have you ever thought about being a teacher? No, just fix the problem.
Yeah,
Stop.
Then they'll stay.
Stop chucking money at pointless stuff. It's mad.
And put it into glue sticks as well.
Yeah. Do you know what? That'd probably solve half the problems.
Yeah. Because people won't be worried about their pages falling out on a booklet.
Fund schools properly. Don't be worried about whether you can print something off or not.
In colour.
But no, I think after that rant, it's probably a good place to wrap up.
Give them a clap, everybody. You did well. That was great.
But it's just protect the rights. And government isn't. So you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
Look online, listen to stuff, and I always say in teaching, if you've got a bit of a gut feel, it's normally right. I had a tiny gut feeling going into that first school that it was wrong. 3 weeks in, I was proven right.
Yeah.
Do you know, I was just lucky enough that still working, still being at home, not having to really rely on the money. Like, yeah, it meant I couldn't go out and do as many things as I wanted. But I knew I could survive on a supply teacher's wage while I was living at home. And I probably had to suck it up for like 2 weeks while I was waiting for that change.
Yeah.
Where obviously if you've got a mortgage or you're renting or anything, I could have been trapped in that.
Yeah.
And just don't know where I'd be at the end of it, a mess.
And now look, you're able to come in here, be passionate about it, talk about it. And if you are listening to it and you are feeling stressed, you can ask for help. There's places out there you can ask for help. You
can always reach out to us. But I always do say, if you're mega stressed, call the unions.
Yeah.
Whenever I had a problem later on and I rang the unions, I'd get the advice like that and I know exactly what to need to do. There's all stuff that they just know.
Because if you don't make a change and help yourself now, then that'll be it.
That's going to be it. But now, say good place to wrap it up.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed it, leave us a comment or 5 stars. Share some of your nightmare stories in the comments on Spotify.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Or send us a DM.
Or DM us, yeah.
We won't mention your name.
But yeah, thanks for listening. And we'll see you next week.